Have you heard of free home staging being offered in your area? We take a look at what this really means and what you need to be aware of as the home seller, as an agent, or as a home staging company. Welcome back to Foxy TV episode 105, and thanks for joining us for another episode. Before we get to today's main topic of free home staging, we have a big install to show you. It's the first time we've taken 2 trucks to the same install. We've done jobs before that required the one truck to go back and get a second load of furniture, which is essentially the same thing. But since we've had the new second truck, this is the first time both trucks have been needed at the same job. So that's kind of cool. So let's now go to that install down the Gold Coast on a very wet day.
We are in Madrubah again. So I don't know if you remember, but a couple of weeks ago, actually, it was the first job back for the year. Yeah, we were up in Madrubah. We installed the property up there, up on top of the hill. So these were owned by the same people, subdivided the block. Mum and Dad built this one. They lived up there, built this one. And we just, at the start of the year, had a fantastic, very successful sales campaign for the one up top. It sold, we were back, I think we were back within 5 weeks to collect the one up top. And then now we're down here doing this one. So this, very, very different. That one had the green carpet. Cody will overlay some images for you. So what we were doing up there was more of a distraction to show people how more modern the home could feel. This one down here is more of a contemporary build. So greys and charcoals throughout. But what we're doing here is, I don't know if you can see behind me, but come for a little walk. Basically, we've got 6 living spaces if you include the dining spaces, all visible from the kitchen. So what we have is a really big space that most people, when they walk in, including myself when I first walked in, I was like, oh, how are we going to make definite use of each of these spaces and valuable use and function from each of these spaces? So that's what we're here to do the styling for today. So it's about dividing everything up. We've also got a living space in the master bedroom, as well as another media space right at the back of the house, and 5 bedrooms in between. So it's about showing how a family can very easily live in the house. So we've gone to complement the colour palette, we've gone for greys and charcoals with some pops of navy blue throughout, and I'm really excited to show you the end result. So I'm going to tackle a rain issue first. Rain. So wettest weekend in a very long time, and Madrubah actually had a flood warning. It was cancelled this morning about 35 minutes ago. This low-lying where they're in the Gold Coast hinterland for those who don't know, and it was flooded. We actually drove past, I don't know if you saw the bridges, Cody, they were flooded literally on the weekend. So it's great to see the water's gone down and the property hasn't been damaged at all, but it did add that element, and it is still raining now. So they're expecting, I think they said between 100 and 200 mils down here on the Gold Coast today. So it is raining, but we have pretty good access as far as where the truck can get to. The boys are wet. The boys are definitely wet, and I don't think they've got to change clothes. But anyway, we tackle it and we get along. But if we could have pushed it, we would, but we can't. So that's those things we work around. And yeah, second truck, maiden voyage. Actually, went for its maiden voyage for a tiny little thing the other day, but first time it's been used for a job, and this is a doozy for it to be used in. So we needed both truckfuls today. So we're all done in Madrubah. It's taken us a good couple of hours to get everything all done. We had the whole team here. And the other half have now head back to Brisbane to do a pack-up while we're finished up. So let's do a walk-through. I love how moody and dramatic we've been able to be with the styling, using these darker colours that we often wouldn't because the spaces are too small. But because this is a beautiful, big, open plan space, we've been able to be a bit more dramatic. Janice was just commenting how much she loved it as well. So let's go for a walk-through. So we come into this huge space. When the owners were here, this was formal dining. So for us, we wanted to, it just felt like a bit of a waste of space having formal dining, especially the first space that you walk in. You want to be able to go wow, and you don't generally be wowed with a formal dining space. So this has changed into a bit more of an upper market TV family space. We have got a media space right down the other end, which we won't go down to today, but you can maybe put some photos up. But this is our TV family space. Coming through to our casual dining space, which is actually very generous in size as well. We've got a 6-seater round dining table. And then coming through to this space that now makes so much more sense as far as a layout goes. So we do have 2 formal living areas off side by side with a formal dining. But having it all segregated like this now, rather than you walking into before and being like overwhelmed by the space, not knowing where your thoroughfares are, not knowing if you could actually fit 2 sofas in opposite each other without blocking off too much of the walk space, not knowing if having the 2 living spaces side by side like this is going to be functional, if they're going to feel like they're too offset to one another. Laying it out answers all of those questions. The other thing that it's done is you've got a focal point now. So from when you walk in, you have somewhere to look. You're drawn into the family living, you're drawn out to the formal living, and then you see the console table at the very end, which is going to take us through to the master bedroom. So you actually, the floor plan is far more functional and it has a path to follow, which is the whole point of styling a property like this. So come and look at these lamps. I'm going to stand next to them so someone can have an idea of the height. So these are like more than half my height. They're like the size of Ali. They're like little person lamps. And we only used them once before. These were done as an online shopping purchase. And we were a bit amazed when they came out of the box. Like, what? Anyway, come through the master bedroom. Again, it's like a little retreat in here. Made it nice and we have kept it the monochromes. We didn't want to go too feminine. We kept it quite neutral. But again, look at the window, all the beautiful light that's in through here. It's just beautiful. So, and then the biggest walk-in robe and bathroom ever. So again, our bathrooms, we do our bathrooms all complimentary for clients. Not a sales pitch, but why do we do it? They're the one space that somebody always tries to drop off. They say, can we save some money by not styling the bathrooms? And I was over saying no, because they're always photographed. They always have a photograph that goes up on realestate.com. And if you have styled, not styled, stark white bathroom with nothing to look at or just all grey, it needs to have some greenery and some fluff in there. So that's why we do those one for free, because it just has to come up nicely.
With the install now done, let's head back to the warehouse and answer a quick question that came through on Instagram. Okay, Phoebe, got a question from Instagram. Could you please share how you deal in the case when a buyer asks to sell the apartment together with the furniture and accessories?
This happens, I'll say often. We get runs of it actually. It's normally the smaller apartments, but we've had a couple of bigger houses of late. The way that we do it is, so obviously we are banking on that furniture coming back, so that furniture then can go into another property. We know that it's going to come back in at least 8 weeks, so we've already got the timeline rolling. So we don't sell the existing furniture that the property's been styled with. Instead, we organise to buy pieces brand new for the clients, and then we switch them out at the same time. So we would switch out the sofa for a brand new sofa. They have all the warranties, they've got the care information, the care card, they've got the packaging in case anything is wrong. Whereas if we're using our pieces, there might be some marks, there might be some scratches on the legs. It's not brand new, it doesn't have that lovely feeling, and I don't want that to affect how much they love the piece in about a year's time if they don't have the product care information or the warranty information and something goes wrong. So we do a switch out, everything's always available. What we find most of the time though is people end up buying 1 or 2 items, not an entire property full of furniture. The option's always there though.
Now on to today's main topic, the topic of free home staging. Let's go to Phoebe to explain what that's all about.
So Jake wanted to start today off with a quote that he came across, I think, who's that person they listen up? Gary V, the other person he listens to? And he was interviewing somebody and he came up with this analogy for something completely different, but he thought it was very apt for home staging. So I'll cross over to Jake and he can tell you the quote that he wants to share.
And this isn't relevant to me, but maybe ladies will understand better, and that is that you might do your makeup every day of the year, but when you get married, you get somebody else, a professional, to do it. You wouldn't do it yourself for the biggest day. And so that relates to home staging. You might be able to declutter, clean, make it look presentable when you're living there every day of the week, but if you're selling your home, you need to look to the professional.
What do you think of that, Eva?
That was pretty good actually. I was not expecting that.
All right, so I hope you like Jake's quote. I actually quite like it. So today's topic, Cody has introduced it for you, but to give you a quick rundown, we basically, over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting phone calls from some of our real estate agents, and for agents that we haven't done with work for a while. So they've been reaching out to have a bit of a chat. So basically what's been happening in our area, in our neck of the woods of Brisbane, is there's been a lot of, so agents are short on stock, so they're really, it's upsetting, and it's not, they move forward, but obviously they've got worries when they lose those listings that they've done appraisals for. So a listing presentation. They head in, they do the listing presentation, everything seems really great, then they get the phone call that they haven't won the listing. And at the moment, there's been a number of those agents that are losing those listings to other real estate agencies that offer some form of free styling. So when I say free styling, I'm not talking about a one-off, I'm not talking about success paid guarantees or anything like that. I'm talking about if you sell your home with us, we will style it for free. So as far as a vendor's aware, there's no fee attached to the styling. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about free styling. So it's really hard, as you can imagine, for a real estate agent. This is what the whole topic of today is about. It's targeted towards real estate agents because I want to help you to be able to combat and have those conversations with a vendor when you head in for those listing presentations. I want you to be able to have those conversations, have the knowledge of what free styling encompasses, and be able to have those conversations with them without putting down or speaking derogatorily, was that a word? About the other real estate agencies, because they've figured out a campaign, they've figured out a marketing technique, they're figuring out a strategy that is working for them. It doesn't necessarily work for everybody. Not everybody can carry the cost of free styling, but so you can't really talk negatively about it, but you can you can educate your vendors about why it is important to bring in a professional styling company. So if we look, there's two different types of free styling. You've got, we'll start with the second one. So the second one is those, there's one in Brisbane. I'm sure there's multiple throughout the country. This particular agent, she actually has a warehouse full of furniture. She's stylist first and the real estate agent second. So she will style every single one of her properties. Every single one of her listings are styled at a professional level. She goes for beautiful, authentic, magazine-ready images, and she's all about an emotional connection, and she does very much value the idea of marketing well with styling and the different approach to real estate that she has. So in that form, I agree with that form of freestyling 100% because it is encompassing the idea of a professional stylist because she has a professional fit out. So the second form is also those who own, so generally they're real estate agents, who own their own stock. Some like cushions, some lamps, a couple of smaller pieces of furniture. They have generally their garage full of it, or maybe an office, a room in the office. They have some small bits and pieces. So they come and do your fluff. And we work with actually a couple of these agents who offer this as a service for their clients. But as soon as they get to a job that's a little bit too big, they won't hesitate to get us in. So they know that they don't have the stock to fit out a full property. So they've just got the fluff to come and help rearrange and prioritise the space to help it present beautifully, and then they take everything away after the photos. So that's type 2. So they can value this, they value the styling, they can definitely sell the idea of styling, but their niche, their strategy's gone down a different path where they actually own some of it. And I'm sure that the conversations that I have with these agents, they'll be the first person to tell you that it's so time consuming. It takes them a couple of days to get it done, and it takes their focus away from the selling component. So generally they're teams, so one's doing the styling, one's doing the selling, but it takes them a lot longer than a professional fit out. So that's the two types that we see there. And then the third type is an agency who will pay for a styling company to come and do your styling. So there's one in particular in Brisbane. Every time I have a conversation to any real estate agent, and I tell them I live in Drewvale, the conversation inevitably comes up. They ask me if I know Chris Gilmore. Chris Gilmore runs All Properties Group, and he's done a fantastic job at really building up that agency in our area. So he's #1 selling agent in our area. And he did a panel with Tom Panos early last year, which is mentioned every single time I talk about our area. So basically, he's incorporated freestyling into their business, and it's their new marketing campaign. Every property it lists with them gets free styling, up to the value of $6,500. So it's a strategy that's really working for them. However, it's also a strategy that is seeing some of our agents losing work. So what I want to talk about is how do you talk to your clients about that? Basically, there's 3 elements and one thing to focus on. We don't obviously have the answer, but things that we see work really well, 3 elements and then one thing to incorporate into your sales pitch to a client. So the 3 elements are quality, quantity, and their service. So when an agency is paying for someone to come and do the styling, they've got a vested interest in the styling. They've got a vested interest in how much they're paying. So they're not going to go out and get the best in for you. Rather, so what's happened, for example, in this old properties group example, they've got a deal with a local styling company, and it's a volume-based deal, and they get them through for every single one of their properties. And this isn't speaking badly about the company they use. They've found a niche that works fantastically. It's a volume-based business, and it's working really, really well for them. But what they've had to do to meet the budget that they get given, they have to go find pieces that work and pieces that are suited and pieces that are priced well to match them with that budget, which they have. However, what we find, where we are in Brisbane, it's sort of the south side Brisbane, we're pretty much in Logan. So the demographic is suited to that style of property. So what they're bringing in, Amart, Target, IKEA, or that level of stock, it suits that level of property, suits the demographic who'll be buying it, and those properties are much, much better presented than if they were left without the styling. The closer you get to the city, the less suited to those properties the stock is. So a conversation I will always have with clients about quality is that when you get in a styling company, the quality of stock we style with represents the quality and the price point of your home. So it's really important for us to reflect that we're not going to bring in Target and Kmart. We don't own any Target and Kmart stock, inventory, furniture-wise. It's styled with pieces that are reflecting the price point that they are after their home. And that's really important, and it's something that they resonate and understand pretty easy. The next is quantity. So when we're styling to a budget, we always have to change the room around. So I'll present price A. Someone will come to me and say, well, my budget's this. I have to remove pieces of furniture to meet that budget. It's not me changing around or going for lesser priced options. It's a removal of pieces so that the room has less items in there so that we can get the total down for the client, so the higher fee is less. So that's what happens when we're meeting to a budget. Generally what happens with freestyling is the quantity of pieces are less. The last one that I want to mention that's really, really important when you refine your pitch and be really confident in selling the value of home styling. So rather than saying, we give you this for free, focus on the value that home styling can bring. So the increase in the sales price, the decrease in the listing time, the increase in the people through the property. Focus on that and focus on the return on investment that those vendors will receive. Be confident, have examples of before and after, have case studies to show them, and 9 times out of 10, they will appreciate and then resonate with the idea of paying for the styling because they can see the value that it brings. Focus less on the free and more on the value. And that's what we see works really, really well. If you don't have examples, reach out, we'll give some to you. We've got plenty. Yeah, hopefully we can make a difference in your listing numbers, and hopefully it can really make a difference in that connection that you make with your vendors and get more property styled. This was targeted towards the agents, but if you are selling a home, or if you're a home styling company owner, then a small business owner, there are points in here that are relevant to you as well. So if you're selling, it's really important to understand what you are receiving if you're signing on with an agent providing free styling.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Foxy TV. Really appreciate it. I hope you found it informative or entertaining, or perhaps even both, and we will see you back here next week.